So I talk a lot about turning towards, and it's kind of alive right now to go into that. Because here, identity is the process of turning away, avoiding, repressing, managing some aspect of this experience such that it's not allowed to just be. And so all the energy in trying to manage or avoid or negate it gets stuck and perpetuated and added to, because we have to constantly be reinforcing it. And then simultaneously, because we're not looking at it, a lot of assumptions get made. Because we can't actually see the thing. And the biggest assumption is, oh, that's me. So I'll give you an example. I think shame is a really potent one. The shame of not fitting in. And that can be enacted or reinforced in many different encounters that we have with other people. Someone gives us a look of disdain or a raised eyebrow that seems judgmental, or as simple as we walk into a room and before we even have a interaction with someone, there's this kind of collapsing into, I don't belong. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to make small talk in this party or this classroom, or everybody already has their friends, and there's a collapse into that shame. It's quite an uncomfortable physical experience, shame. Like, it's often contracted in the chest and the heart. There's a heaviness. There might be disgust, really, if we're really allowing it to be felt. But we don't want to feel that. We were taught you gotta belong. If you don't belong, you're worthless, you're in danger. I mean, we don't even need to be taught that part. Like, that part we know. Because we depend on each other. We need that sense of physical touch, interdependence. We suffer when we're alone, isolated. So the identity comes in when we walk into that room, and we kind of like grit and bear it. We grit and bear the feeling, all of this internalized, and then there's just this, like, maybe it doesn't feel so bad because we're separating ourselves from, we're a little bit disassociated. We're in the mind of like, oh, let me find a seat. The mind takes over to problem solve and pushes this shame backward. It turns away from it. and see if that resonates. Like focusing, seeming to focus, seeming that the mind is in control. But the mind is just trying to help you be safe, feel safe, experience safety, experience okayness, experience belonging, or the absence of rejection in that moment. And you're turning away. You're doing something to manage the shame that's arising. And it's going offline, seemingly it's going in the shadows, seemingly, and seemingly it's not defining anything. It's not not a problem. But the reality is in the shadows where there is embarrassment, a longing to belong, a feeling of being left out. That assumption that happens because we don't turn towards it is that that's me. I'm the one that doesn't belong. And I'm not saying that I'm giving some prescription every time you walk into an awkward place to do something like turn towards, not giving a formula. Because it's not a practice, it's not a thing to do or to get to. This is the kind of closest resonant word, phrase that aligns here with the opposite. I don't know if that even feels accurate or true. But the competing energy of turning towards, of, okay, seeing that shame. The moment you look at it, really look at it, see it, anything, but that you are taking yourself to be, especially, that nothing is permanent, nothing is solid, nothing is at the center, although there may be a lot of energy to it, and maybe asking to be attended to might be the most important thing right now to be met. And the moment is turned towards and not in the shadows to make assumptions about, then we can't assume anymore that that's me. I'm not the one that doesn't belong. This is an arising conditioning pattern, protective mode, like whatever you want to call it. It's welcome. Another way of saying turning towards is welcoming it actively all the time. Oh, here comes this shame. I can give you an example that I'm sure everyone has experienced in some capacity or another with shame. Again, this is not just centered on shame, but seems accessible right now. The moment you look at shame and really look at it and embrace it, the moment you're freed. And if you can recall the time where someone you were with did something really embarrassing, socially conventionally, like the thing you would never want to do, whether it's like spinach in your teeth or falling flat on your face or your body functioning in a way that you don't, you're not going to win friends with, or I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, meant anything my toddler did right now, and probably in 10 years, it would make the list. But the moment that person owned it, of like, oh my God, there's spinach in my teeth, or like called themselves out, like drew attention toward, brought it into the light, turned towards it with others, had that safety in themselves, the okayness in their nervous system, that this isn't really a threat. This isn't really a threat to survival or belonging. Like, oh my gosh, there's spinach in my teeth. And the laughter and just the ownership of it, freeing them up from being identified by it. The moment someone takes ownership over something that's humiliating and embarrassing, like it totally transmutes. But not in an in an agenda, right? Like not in a forced way. Because if someone's really embarrassed about something and humor isn't accessible, like it feels very different if it's like clouded in pain, or if the authentic emotion in that moment is sadness. Like that's different, right? And even that can be freeing. So crushed right now that I screwed up my performance. My face is so red. Like even that. The moment it's turned towards, it's free. How liberating to be able to share that with others. So it's possible. It's not always.